to Virginia and renames itself Monroe Industries. It becomes active in radio station ownership, cable television, and later in the production and sale of audio cassettes. These cassettes contain applied learnings from the corporate research program, which is renamed the Monroe Institute, 1971. Monroe publishes Journeys Out of the Body, a book that is credited with popularizing the term out-of-body experience. 1972, a classified report circulates in the U.S. military and intelligence communities. It claims that the Soviet Union is pouring money into research involving ESP and psychokinesis for espionage purposes. 1975. Monroe registers the first of several patents concerning audio techniques designed to stimulate brain functions until the left and right hemispheres become synchronized. Monroe dubs the state Hemisink hemispheric synchronization and claims it could be used to promote mental well-being or to trigger an altered state of consciousness. 1978 to 1984. Army veteran Joseph McMonigle contributes to 450 remote viewing missions under Project Stargate. He is known as Remote View Number 1. This is kind of a whole other story. June 9, 1983. The CIA report analysis and assessment of the gateway process is produced. It provides a scientific framework for understanding and expanding human consciousness, out-of-body experiments, and other altered states of mind. 1989. Remote viewer Angela DeLafer of Fort helps track down a former customs agent who has gone on the run. She pinpoints his location as Lowell, Wyoming. U.S. Customs apprehend him 100 miles west of a Wyoming town called Lowell. 2003. The CIA approves declassification of the gateway process with report 2017. The CIA declassifies 12 million pages of records revealing previously unknown details about the program, which would eventually become known as Project Stargate. The report. Personnel. The author of the Gateway Process report is Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McDonald. Here I'm referred to simply as Wayne. There isn't a tremendous amount of information available on the man, nor any photographs. In 1983, Wayne was tasked by the commander of the U.S. Army Operational Group with figuring out how the gateway experience, astral projection, and out-of-body experiences work. Wayne partnered with a bunch of different folks to produce the report. Most notably, Itzhak Bentov, a very Googleable American-Israeli scientist who helped pioneer the biomedical engineering industry. A scientific approach from the outset of the report. Wayne states his intent to employ an objective scientific method in order to understand the gateway process. The various scientific avenues he takes include, a biomedical inquiry to understand physical aspects of the process, information on quantum mechanics to describe the nature and functioning of human consciousness, theoretical physics to explain the time, space dimension, and means by which expanded human consciousness transcends it, classical physics to bring the whole phenomenon of out-of-body states into the language of physical science, and remove the stigma of an occult connotation. Methodological frames of reference. Before diving into the gateway experience, Wayne develops a frame of reference by dissecting three discrete consciousness-altering methodologies. He's basically saying, there's no way you're going to get through the gateway without a solid grounding in the brain-altering techniques that came before it. 1. He begins with hypnosis. The language is extremely critical, holistic, pattern-oriented right hemisphere, which accepts everything without question. Hypnosis works by putting the left side to sleep, or at least distracting it long enough to allow incoming data direct, unchallenged entry to the right hemisphere. There, stimuli can reach the sensor and motor cortices of the right brain, which corresponds to points in the body. Suggestions then can send electrical signals from the brain to certain parts of the body. Directing these signals appropriately, according to the report, can elicit reactions ranging from left leg numbness to feelings of happiness. Same goes for increased powers of concentration. 2. Wayne continues with a snapshot of Transcendental Meditation. He distinguishes it from hypnotism. Through concentration, the subject draws energy up the spinal cord, resulting in acoustical waves that run through the cerebral ventricles to the right hemisphere, where they stimulate the cerebral cortex, run along the homunculus, and then to the body. The waves are the altered rhythm of heart sounds, which creates sympathetic vibrations in the walls of the fluid-filled cavities of the brain's ventricles. He observed that the symptoms begin in the left side of the body, confirming the right brain's complicity. Bentov also states that the same effect might be achieved by prolonged exposure to 4-7 Hz-second acoustical vibrations. He suggests standing by an air conditioning duct might also do the trick. David Lynch and other celebrities are committed adherents to Transcendental Meditation today. 3. Biofeedback, on the other hand, uses the left hemisphere to gain access to the right brain's lower cerebral motor and sensory cortices, whereas hypnosis suppresses one side of the brain, and TM bypasses that side altogether. Biofeedback teaches the left hemisphere to visualize the desired result, recognize the feelings associated with right hemisphere access, and ultimately achieve the result again. With repetition, the left brain can reliably key into the right brain and strengthen the pathway so that it can be accessed during a conscious demand mode. A digital thermometer is subsequently placed on a target part of the body. When its temperature increases, objective affirmation is recognized, and the state is reinforced. Achieving biofeedback can block pain, enhance feeling, and even suppress tumors, according to the report. The gateway mechanics with that, Wayne takes a first stab at the gateway process. He classifies it as a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, and coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output between the left and right hemispheres so as to alter consciousness. What distinguishes the gateway process from hypnosis, TM, and biofeedback is that it requires achieving a state of consciousness in which the electrical brain patterns of both hemispheres are equal in amplitude and frequency. This is called Hemisink. Lamentably, and perhaps conveniently, we cannot as humans achieve this state on our own. The audio techniques developed by Bob Monroe and his institute, which comprise a series of tapes, claim to induce and sustain Hemisink. Here, the document shifts to the usage of quotes and other reports to describe the powers of Hemisink. Wayne employs the analogy of a lamp versus a laser. Left to its own devices, the human mind expends energy, like a lamp in a chaotic and incoherent way, achieving lots of diffusion, but relatively little depth. Under Hemisink, though, the mind produces a disciplined stream of light, so, once the frequency, and amplitude of the brain are rendered coherent and can then synchronize with the rarefied energy levels of the universe. With this connection intact, the brain begins to receive symbols and display astonishing flashes of holistic intuition. The Hemisink Technique takes advantage of a frequency following response FFR. It works like this. An external frequency emulating a recognized one will cause the brain to mimic it. So if a subject hears a frequency at the theta level, it will shift from its resting beta level to achieve these unnatural levels. Hemisink puts a single frequency in the left ear and a contrasting frequency in the right. The brain then experiences the delta frequency, also known as the beat frequency. It's more familiarly referred to these days as binaural music. With the FFR and beat frequency phenomena firmly in place, the gateway process introduces a series of frequencies at marginally audible subliminal levels, with the left brain relaxed and the body in a virtual sleep state. The conditions are ideal to promote brainwave outputs of higher and higher amplitude and frequency, alongside subliminal suggestions from Bob naturally. The subject can alter their consciousness. The gateway system only works when the audio, which is introduced through headphones, is accompanied by a physical quietude comparable to other forms of meditation. This increases the subject's internal resonance to the body's sound frequencies, for example the heart. This eliminates the bifurcation echo, in which the heartbeat moves up and down the body 7 times a second. By placing the body in a sleep-like state, the gateway tapes, like meditation, lessen the force and frequency of the heartbeat pushing blood into the aorta. The result is a rhythmic sine wave that in turn amplifies the sound volume of the heart 3 times. This then amplifies the frequency of brainwave output. The film surrounding the brain, the dura and fluid between that film and the skull eventually begin to move up and down by 0.0005 and 0.010 millimeters. The body, based on its own micromotions, then functions as a tuned vibrational system. The report claims that the entire body eventually transfers energy at between 6.8 and 7.5 Hz, which matches Earth's own energy, 7.5 Hz. The resulting wavelengths are long, about 40,000 kilometers, which also happens to be the perimeter of the planet. According to Bentov, the signal can move around the world's electrostatic field in 1/7th of a second. To recap, the gateway process goes like this. Induced state of calm, blood pressure lowers, circulatory system, skeleton and other organ systems begin to vibrate at 7.5 cycles per second. Increased resonance is achieved. The resulting sound waves matches the electrostatic field of the Earth. The body and Earth and other similarly tuned minds become a single energy continuum. We've gotten slightly ahead of ourselves here though. Back to the drawing board. Image Kovacevic Miro via Getty Images. A psycho-quantum level deeper Wayne then turns to the very nature of matter and energy, more materially by .com. How to escape the confines of time and space according to the CIA. 24 to 30 minutes. She turned to me the other morning and said, "You heard of the gateway?" It didn't register in the moment. She continued, "It's blowing up on TikTok later on." She elaborated, It was not in fact the ill-fated 90s computer hardware company folks were freaking out about. No, they've gone further back in time to find a true treasure of functional media. The intrigue revolves around a classified 1983 CIA report on a technique called the Gateway Experience, which is a training system designed to focus brainwave output to alter consciousness and ultimately escape the restrictions of time and space. The CIA was interested in all sorts of psychic research at the time, including the theory and applications of remote viewing, which is when someone views real events with only the power of their mind. The documents have since been declassified and are available to view. This is a comprehensive excavation of the Gateway Process report. The first section provides a timeline of the key historical developments that led to the CIA's investigation and subsequent experimentations. The second section is a review of the Gateway Process report. It opens with a wall of theoretical context, on the other side of which lies enough understanding to begin to grasp the principles underlying the Gateway Experience training. The last section outlines the Gateway technique itself and the steps that go into achieving space-time transcendence. Let's go. The timeline, 1950s, Robert Monroe, a radio broadcasting executive, begins producing evidence that specific sound patterns have identifiable effects on human capabilities. These include alertness, sleepiness, and expanded states of consciousness. 1956, Monroe forms an R&D division inside his radio program production corporation, RAM Enterprises. The goal is to study sound's effect on human consciousness. He was obsessed with sleep learning or hypnopedia, which exposes sleepers to sound recordings to boost memory of previously learned information. 1958. While experimenting with sleep learning, Monroe discovers an unusual phenomenon. He describes it as sensations of paralysis and vibration accompanied by bright light. It allegedly happens 9 times over the preceding 6 weeks and culminates in an out-of-body experience. OB. 1962. RAM Enterprises moves which streams of different colors flow from the dot onto correspondingly colored bodily systems. 7 days of training have now occurred. Approximately 5% of participants get to this next level. According to the report, Focus 15, Travel into the Past. Additional sound on the Hemisink tapes includes more of the same, plus some subliminal suggestions to further expand the consciousness. The instructions are highly symbolic. Time is a huge wheel, in which different spokes give access to the participant's past. Focus 21, the future. This is the last and most advanced state. Like Focus 15, this is a movement out of space-time into the future, out-of-body movement. Only one tape of the many is devoted to out-of-body movement. This tape is devoted to facilitating an out-of-body state when the participant's brain wave patterns and energy levels reach harmony with the surrounding electromagnetic environment. According to Bob Monroe, the participant has to be exposed to beta signals of around 2,877, 3 cycles per second. Conclusions. Wayne expresses concern about the fidelity of information brought back from out-of-body states using the Gateway technique. Practical applications are of particular concern because of the potential for information